Candidates, please try to keep your answers to about a minute or two. Okay? Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. So, who would like to ask the first question?
Or we can rotate through if you want. Yeah,
We can rotate through.
We can rotate through. Chase, you take the first one.
All three candidates, your response to Donald Trump saying, what's the purpose of the Libertarian Party getting 3%? You should nominate me, only if you want to win.
Sorry. The question from Politico is, for the candidates, what is the response to Donald Trump asking about the Libertarian Party getting 3% and why they should vote for him? So let's go.
Well, his quote, nominate me if you want to win.
Sorry, nominate you. Nominate him if you want to gain more than 3%. And yes, I know we don't have a secondary mic for the media folks. You can yell it out. It's not going to change the situation.
So my response to that, first and foremost, is if he thinks he's going to win our party's nomination, he's more delusional than I thought. And let me tell you right now, we don't need even 3% of the vote sometimes to wreck their day right now, because I did it with 2.1% in Georgia, and that turned the largest and most expensive Senate race in history. And let me tell you right now, that earned us the relevance we need to start putting our message forward. And we're going to keep doing that as candidates all over the country, speaking a true message to libertarianism. If Donald Trump thinks that he can come here in our house and earn our nomination, he's got another thing coming. And I think every single person in this room agrees with me on that. If you want to see a real libertarian running for president, I think you need to let us know right here, right now. That's exactly what I thought.
Take another question. Take a different question.
Each of you candidates addressed it, unless you don't want to.
Well, we can get through 3 times as many questions if we rotate.
Can you reiterate that?
But I think it's fair to answer.
Your response to Trump saying, sorry, his quote, what's the purpose of the Libertarian Party getting 3%? You should nominate Trump only if you want to win.
Yeah, so Trump suggested a couple of times, maybe 3 times, that we should nominate him for our presidential nominee for the Libertarian Party. I gotta say, I didn't get angry at this. I almost fell over laughing. It is so ludicrous, it's beyond, it's really beyond the pale. We find this so ludicrous that there has never been, and there are no people in this room in the Libertarian Party at risk for falling for Trump's bullshit. I mean, come on. Nobody's falling for that. Everybody is. It's hilarious. But listen, as I said, we moved the needle toward liberty. That is what we have accomplished today alone. And we will continue to accomplish these steps toward liberty every day for as long as we live. I am not here to bash Trump. I am here to run against Trump. I will stand as a beacon of our movement and our party.
Bash him.
I take out paper tigers like Trump for, mild finger exercising. But I don't really, it's so easy, it's really kind of redundant to do. Anyway, all right, I'm going to wrap it up. We did something momentous today. Let's not forget it. Let's build on it. Let's continue to build a movement for liberty. Together we will wreck the regime.
I think you got plenty of answers. Do you want us to move on to the next one? I mean, the real answer is at least Bobby Kennedy had the decency to lie to us. We have no interest in him, so why would we have an interest in a guy who had 4 years to demonstrate something he just can't do? Yes, sir, in the good-looking plaid shirt.
Thank you. Ford Fisher from News to Share. I wanted to ask all 3 candidates, which part of Trump's speech did you most disagree with?
I think, thanks very much. You want to know which part? I think this is our new poll. if you all want to weigh in on the next poll, here's the question. You ready? Which part of Trump's speech pissed you off the most? I think it was the part that he said hello. I have to admit, there's two things that are really important here. The first one is that I do have an answer to the question. It's when he said, well, I've been indicted, so now I'm a libertarian. That's a little bit weird. I've actually met criminals who aren't libertarians. So I'm not sure that that qualifies. The other thing that I have to admit is that my lovely wife Nancy was so offended by the whole thing that we left, so I don't actually know about the rest of the answer.
There's two things that really upset me about what Donald Trump said here tonight. The first is when he tried to claim that he was a libertarian, because that's just insulting to our principles and our very nature as libertarians. And the second part that really upset me is the fact that he tried to claim that he started no new wars when he continued the wars that have been going on for decades in this country. You don't get credit for not starting new wars, you only get credit for ending wars. And that's what the Libertarian Party will do in this country.
Oh, we're good. How about another question?
Let Mike speak on. Let Mike speak on. Mike speak on.
You know, I mean, as I said, the Trump speech was so buffoonish and so forth that I couldn't take it that seriously. And I assume many of you did not either, except for the fact of the policies and outrageous criminality that his administration perpetrated. So, I'm not going to run down a litany of all the egregious offenses against our freedom. How high are you? Not high enough. Hey, I'm living liberty today.
But how are you not high?
Guys, please.
Would you be?
Thank you.
Okay. No, listen, this is liberty itself. We are embodying it. This is what we must do. We must be the torchbearers of liberty. We must beam liberty out to other people. We must be magnetic in our libertarianism. We must be forceful, but also gentle, and also very compassionate and welcoming to people into this fold. That is the only way we will build a movement, which is what we need to do in order to move the needle toward liberty, the ultimate objective of the Libertarian Party and of libertarians themselves. Thank you.
Next question. By the way, just remember, candidates, please answer the questions, please. Refrain from 5-minute stump speeches. Okay. Yes, question?
Given how, for all three of you, given how much you disagreed with what Trump had to say, do you agree with Chair McArdle's call to invite him at all, or do you think that was a mistake?
The question is whether the candidates agree with Chairman McArdle's decision to invite Donald Trump, or if it was a mistake.
Go ahead, buddy.
So I think I've been very public about this. The truth is I don't like having a war criminal on this stage. I don't feel he deserves a spot on this stage. And I feel like we can claim relevancy by starting to put a thumb in the eye of the two-party system. That's a better way to do it. You don't get relevancy by rolling over. And that's not what we're going to do here. And so while I think it was a mistake to have invited Donald Trump, I'm glad he got to see a glimpse of what a real libertarian reception feels like.
Look, we were all very nervous that somebody would look at Donald Trump and say, oh, I guess that's what a libertarian is. But I think that that's been resolved. I have to admit that I did have some concern about this guy coming on this stage. I think a lot of us were very concerned about the whole thing. But let's be honest. On balance, you nice people are here asking us questions. We settled the issue once and for all. Donald Trump doesn't even have a libertarian streak. he doesn't have the decency to even lie to us. So I think on balance, as much as I was fearful yesterday, this has turned out to be a hell of a party.
Maybe you don't understand what I've been talking about, what we've done today to move the needle toward liberty. We got a major political party candidate to say that he would free Ross Ulbricht. We moved the needle toward liberty. Free Ross. Thank you.
Donald Trump repeatedly referred to himself as a free market capitalist, while simultaneously deriding the current president, for printing money and causing inflation. I wonder what your reaction to that entire ethos was.
So the question is, Donald Trump referred to himself as a free market capitalist while bashing Joe Biden as an inflationary president. What is your reaction to that statement?
Well, my reaction there is that if we look in the record book at what president in office had the highest debt and deficit ever, that would be Donald Trump in the year 2020. And if he's a free market capitalist, I think he owes an answer to my friend who owned a flower shop that got shut down during COVID, and that business went away, and now she works at the Lowe's Garden Center for the giant corporate box companies. So when he killed millions of small businesses in this country, was he being a free market capitalist, or was he being an authoritarian tyrant? You can answer that question for yourselves.
Donald Trump is a capitalist like I'm a Great Dane. I just, wow, of all the things that he might claim about himself, that is just shy of I'm an alien. Donald Trump is not a capitalist in any sense of the word. What we do know is that he likes to make a lot of money for himself. He actually is one of these guys that likes to use government for his own purposes as well. This is what should really make you fearful. It's not so much that he doesn't understand capitalism. I think he understands it quite well. In fact, I would argue that's what makes him more dangerous. He understands it damned well, and yet thumbs his nose at the capitalist ideal. Donald Trump is not merely someone who is not a libertarian. And I think this is very important. Donald Trump is someone who does get it. Anyone out there who thinks that Donald Trump is merely an idiot, I think is missing the larger point. Donald Trump is not merely someone who is not a libertarian. Donald Trump is anti-libertarian.
What was the question again?
The question was, Donald Trump called himself a free market capitalist while bashing Joe Biden for inflation.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I think Trump is trying to suggest that, he cut some regulations and so forth. But I would eliminate the entire regulatory regime altogether. Donald Trump says he's for free speech, but he didn't listen to many of our own demands here about the Fed, and he didn't really respond to our plea. Nevertheless, I really think this is getting redundant, and I'm not interested in carrying out an all-night Donald Trump roast. It's just a little bit boring, and I'm just not. This is not something I want to keep.
Well, let's go to the next question.
Well, I'll keep answering the questions from the press as long as you guys are
I'm not
asking.
going to display the requisite moral outrage.
You can opt out. It's a voluntary move.
Can you address Trump's pledge to nominate a libertarian to his cabinet should he be reelected?
Yeah, they said Donald Trump pledged to nominate a libertarian to his cabinet should be reelected.
Yeah.
Did you just want us to respond to that general statement?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm happy
ahead.
to do it.
Can you repeat it in the mic, though?
Yes.
This lovely reporter here just asked us to respond to the fact that Donald Trump said if he was reelected that he would appoint a libertarian to his cabinet. My answer to that is you had 4 years in office to put a libertarian in your cabinet or your government, and you didn't do it. So what makes you think you're going to ever do it with 4 more years? I say no more 4. 4 years of liberty is what we need. We need to put a libertarian in office that will actually put libertarians in the cabinet, because you cannot trust Donald Trump as far as you can throw him. I don't know if you saw him. He's a pretty big dude. I don't think anybody can really throw him that far. So maybe he needs to take a diet, but here's the truth. Our former president is a war criminal, and no true libertarian would ever want to work in the cabinet with a war criminal.
I thought that was a good answer.
Focusing on your guys' campaigns, you're trying to lead a party that's very divided, has a lot of different opinions. How do you propose to be an effective nominee, and can you get more support than Gary Johnson did in 2016?
Yes.
So the question is, how do you propose to lead the divided party forward and get more support than Gary Johnson did in the previous run?
All good. And it's a perfect question for me, if I can be so self-serving. Look, Gary Johnson did get quite a bit of support, made it to double digits in the polls. It's all good. We understand that Gary had a head start because he had been a sitting governor only a few years earlier. He ran with a lot of credibility. But remember, and this is, by the way, also the answer to the other half of the question, which is how do you lead a divided party? Are we really all that divided? No. Thank you very much. Anyone who thought the Libertarian Party was divided yesterday, all they have to do is come to a Trump rally and all of a sudden you realize Chase and I look like brothers, damn it. Yeah, we're not, the answer is we're not that divided. But let me get to the Gary Johnson half of the question. I would argue that the reason that Gary, and by the way, we all love ourselves some Gary, right? The reason that Gary's campaign imploded after he forgot the name of a town in Syria was not because he made a mistake. We all make mistakes. I'm going to make a mistake. Someday, eventually, Chase will make a mistake. Someday, far into the future, everybody makes mistakes. Here's the problem. Gary had not sufficiently differentiated himself from Republicans and Democrats. He had not led a sufficiently differentiated campaign based on libertarian principles so that when that eventual mistake comes, people had enough reason to hang on to him. Now, strangely, let's take a lesson from Donald Trump. Of all the weird things I'll say this week, let this be the weirdest. You all remember that Donald Trump once famously said, and I'm paraphrasing because it's not a quote I've committed to memory, something along the lines of, they say I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue without losing a great deal of support. I'm going to go out on a limb and say shooting someone on Fifth Avenue is worse than forgetting the name of a Syrian city. I'm just going to assert that. But I think that Donald Trump is probably right in some sense. People know why they hate his guts. People know why they love him. And Gary had not sufficiently differentiated. So let me make this statement. When I believe it will be me as the nominee, but no matter who it is, if it's Chase, if it's anyone else, we will not make that mistake. People know why they love us, and people will know why they hate our guts. We will not try to hide the fact that we are a new choice, completely differentiated. You will not know why to love us or to hate us, and if I forget the name of a town in Syria or anywhere else, you'll be able to overlook it.
I think if you ask what's going to unite this party with our candidates in November, whoever they may be, I do hope it's me, but whoever it is, I think it's by standing up with our common principles. Things like free markets, voluntary exchange, opposing the warfare state, supporting your right to privacy and free speech, ending the broken monetary policy and returning us back to normalcy, supporting alternative currencies, supporting our ability to live our lives in peace and understand that even if we have neighbors that live differently from us, liberty affords that as long as we do so in peace. Now, if you're asking me how I'm going to send that message when I run for president, that's because I am under the age of 40. I've actually had to live in this economy that has been given to us by the statists since 9/11. I've had to live in the post-9/11 warfare state. I've had to see what happens when banks get bailed out and regular people get screwed over through excessive taxation. I know what it means to have to live paycheck to paycheck, unlike the Donald Trumps of the world. And I haven't been politically connected for 50 years like the Joe Bidens of the world. I know what it means to be the average American and to go to the grocery store and spend the same amount week after week, but seeing less and less filling up the cart. That is a direct result of the statist policies, and we're going to find common ground with millions and millions of Americans who are sick and tired of being sick and tired of a two-party system. We're going to provide them a true alternative to that and bring millions of people in the tent. And when we do, I want each and every one of you to say the exact same thing that John Mon said to me when I got welcome to the party. Welcome home to liberty.
I noticed that of all the guest speakers that were not libertarian, the one that resonated most with the audience was Vivek Ramaswamy. Would it change anything if he became Trump's running mate?
No, but I'm not sure that that's true. Well, okay, next question. If you have a different answer, you let me know. No, first of all, no. But I would argue that Vivek was... Oh, I beg your pardon.
Would Vivek Ramaswamy being a running mate change our mind?
No, Vivek Ramaswamy would not change our minds. But I would also argue, I'm not sure that Vivek Ramaswamy actually connected with the crowd all that much. Was there anybody there for the debate with Clint Russell? Holy cow, I thought Clint Russell was going to dump him in a dumpster behind the barn. That was impressive. Now, I would say it's the same thing. You know, Mike Lee did a nice job of trying to connect with this crowd. Is Mike Lee actually a libertarian? No! I don't think so. There is no running mate in the world, no offense, because I think you'd be a good running mate for Donald Trump.
Fuck no, I wouldn't.
Thank you very much. There is no running mate in the world, not even Chase Oliver, who would clean that ticket up. Please.
Do you think Trump addressing the Free Ross movement was pandering on his part, or do you...
Yes. I'll repeat the question.
Do you think the Free Ross movement and Donald Trump's statement that he would pardon Ross is pandering on Trump's part?
He didn't say pardon. He didn't say what?
He said commute. And I want to tell you this right now. Ask yourself this question. Do you really think Donald Trump even knew Ross Ulbricht's name before he decided to come here and try to pander to us? Do you think he had any inkling of trying to free Ross? Do you think the guy who said that Julian Assange deserves the death penalty is going to get freed by him? So don't trust Donald Trump when he comes here selling you a load of lies. He's a liar and a grifter just like every other two-party politician.
Is that enough answer for you?
I mean, I'd love for you to answer, but...
Oh, I thought Chase nailed it. Yes, ma'am.
So I got to touch on this with you earlier today, but Donald Trump talked about not requiring medical procedures given his track record. The number one question I've had on the live stream tonight is, do you guys support medical autonomy and specifically women's bodily autonomy?
Go ahead, buddy.
The question is she the most asked question on this young woman's live stream? Asking when Donald Trump talks about medical freedom is, what do we think about bodily autonomy and specifically a woman's right to choose? Now, I know this is a contentious topic. Women's right to choose an abortion. Now, here's the truth. I understand this is a divisive measure. People have their own personal conscience here. But the truth is I don't want anybody's own personal conscience to be using the force of the state to impose that will on anybody else. I understand it's a difficult decision, and I understand many people are personally pro-life. But just like I am personally in favor of a lot of things, I'm not in favor of using the force, the bullets, and the evil of government to enforce it. So one thing that women can know in this country is that if I am the nominee, I will support your right to control your body, because here's the truth. If you're living your life in peace, your life is your life, your body is your body, your business is your business, and your property is your property, not mine and not the government's.
I want to echo everything Chase just said, especially the part about keeping the government the hell out of your life. I want to speak just for 5 seconds to you out there who are pro-lifers, and I know there's a lot of you out there. I have grown up in my community of faith as being personally pro-life. Those of us who feel this way, it is incumbent upon us to make the movement in our society, in our culture, to move our society in the direction that we believe it needs to go. It is not, thank you, it is not up to us to use government, to use the criminal code, to use some police force to get our way. And if I may, Donald Trump has gone through some weird times. He has been pro-life, he has been pro-choice, but never once have I seen him out there trying to make his case to the public. In both cases, he was all about using the government to get his way. That we cannot stand. Yes, sir.
Trump did not talk about Julian Assange nor Edward Snowden, but he did talk about the January 6th defendants who he referred to as political prisoners and hostages.
Yes.
How do you respond on all three?
Because he's so damn self-serving.
Nice.
So you asked us about how he didn't mention Julian Assange or Edward Snowden, but he did mention the January 6th protesters, calling them political prisoners. Here's the truth. If Donald Trump cared about anybody but himself, whether you agree with it or not, he would have pardoned those January 6th protesters before he left office. He didn't do it because he knew he was going to run for re-election again, and that would be an albatross around his neck. So he is self-serving. And when it comes to why he doesn't want to pardon Julian Assange or Edward Snowden, it's because he's part of the warfare state that's exporting death and violence around the world, and they exposed it, and that makes those people dangerous people to the status people. And so we need to support Julian Assange, we need to support Edward Snowden, and say loud and clear, hell no to the warfare state, not in our name, not with our money, and not with our government.
No, I was saying thank you.
Okay, next question then. Any other questions?
Any questions?
We did pretty good. Listen, you guys have been great tonight, and Brian, thanks for setting up the press conference. You've all been terrific. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you after the Donald Trump rally. We have a big day tomorrow. Chase will be there. Michael Rectenwald will be there. I will be there. And real libertarians will be there. Oh, who's missing? Donald Trump will not be there tomorrow.
One last question. One more question?
So this girl is claimed to be missing. Well, she's an adult now on National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website. She's not missing at all, according to New York Post. I can give you all the evidence on the flyer as well. Will you, if I can prove to you that this is totally true, will you call on Nick to quit lying about people missing? Because they actually call for the public to call 911 for this person who's not missing at all.
I'm sorry, this is too long of a question.
Okay,
that's going to wrap it.
It's a weird one, but I'll talk to you about it later.
Yeah, we can talk that off.
Anybody else got a quick question?
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we want to know where you guys stand on the TikTok ban and whether or not you support the infringement of 170 million Americans' right to use it.
Are you streaming on TikTok right now?
I sure am.
Let me tell the people that you're streaming on TikTok right now this, okay? I don't care who owns the platform. TikTok should be free. You should be allowed to use it. You have the right to determine the platforms that you use and the platforms you speak on. And of course, I want to speak to the youth of America, and that's where they're at is on TikTok. I encourage them to follow me on TikTok, and I look forward to speaking to young people all over this country, and hell no to banning free speech in this country. They claim it's because China steals our data. I have a surprise for each and every one of you. All Facebook, X, all of them steal your data too, and guess what? So does the federal government. So if it's a crime for TikTok to do it, it should be a crime for our own government to steal our privacy.
Even I follow Chase Oliver on TikTok. Look, if my kids were little anymore, and they're not, they're giant pains in the ass, but if my kids were little, I probably wouldn't allow them to be on TikTok. I gotta be honest with you. Do I want Donald Trump and the rest of the federal government making that decision? Of course not. Let's be serious. A government that will take away TikTok or any other platform is a government who will boss around the other platforms like Facebook. And Chase is exactly right. They collect data on us already. They shut down platforms. We need to be absolutists about the First Amendment. If we are not absolutists about the First Amendment, what the hell are we doing here? Please.
Thank you, guys. Free Russ Ulbricht. Yeah, there you go. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Thank you, media.